So we're back now for day 2 of the Cheltenham Festival Preview. We've gone through Tuesday stuff, so I'll stick a link about somewhere so you can find that. First race of the day, guys, is the BALLYMORE Novices Hurdle. The time of us recording this, which is the 2nd of January, we've got the Slaney Novices Hurdle to come up on Sunday. That's only going to end with one result. Envoy Allen wins, maybe workmanlike again, but he's only going to get shorter for the race. I'm interested in the race because it's a nice one and it'll be good for future reference, all those sort of things. Envoy Allen's a 3-mile chaser in the making. I would like to see Time Hill go here because I think this is his trip more than the Albert Bartlett. I don't want him to be forced to go in the wrong direction. I'd say the same about the Big Breakaway as well. But am I just wasting time talking about anything else because Envoy Allen hacks up, doesn't he?
Yeah. The second bank of the meeting, Dave, behind vintage Envoy Allen. The only horse that interests me after that is the horse that Colin Tizard's is the Big Breakaway. There's the only horse that I see, but I think he's a horse like Bowden. They're horses for the future. But I just think experience-wise, and he's been to the well already. He knows how to battle too, and I just can't see anything past it. Unless he gets injured, there's nothing to beat Envoy Allen.
Yeah, Daryl?
I think Envoy Allen is just being built up to be the absolute certainty of the festival. I just can't help but feel I do feel Envoy Allen is beatable. I do. I don't know. Do you know what? I wouldn't be taking him on if he was running in the Supreme because of the form lines are just stacking up over 2 miles. Now, obviously, stepping up to this trip, just an air of vulnerability for me because I know everyone's saying, he wants further, he wants this, that. But what we're working on with Envoy Allen is the form lines from the Champion Bumper, all over 2 miles. All of his strongest form has come over 2 miles. I think at the moment, for me, Envoy Allen is a brilliant horse over 2 miles. The moment he steps up to 2 miles 5, you have to surely think, right, I'm going to take him on it because of that step up in trip. We're going into unknown territory. I don't care how many people say, he'll definitely say he's this, he wants further. Yeah, he does, but we don't know that until he does it. Now, what we do know is over 2 miles, he's a Grade 1 winning hurdler and he's excellent and his form lines are very, very strong. We don't know that at 2 miles 5 in a Ballymore. And I just think a lot of people might just make the mistake of steaming into him over 2 miles 5 when he's got, at the moment, nothing to suggest that he is going to win this, a Grade 1 Ballymore Novice Hurdle at Cheltenham over 2 miles 5. If he was to run in the Supreme, there's no way I'd want to take him on, the form lines he's shown and everything he's shown. And like I say, we're working back to that Champion Bumper form, which is outstanding, over 2 miles, not over 2 miles 5. So I just think that what everyone's focusing on, Envoy Allen, is going to win this, do that, it's going to do this at the Ballymore trip. I'm going to find something. I haven't found anything yet, by the way. But I am going to try and find something to take him on with if he runs in the Ballymore. If he runs in the Supreme, I won't be taking him on. Obviously, I'm saying this before the weekend.
That's it, yeah. No, which is fair. And the beauty of it this weekend as well is, like you say, it's the first time he's stepping up in trip. Until he goes and does it over that trip, we just don't know. I do think, though, his performances, like when you said, he looks like one of those horses that you could almost, you're waiting for an opportunity to take him on. Just the way that he goes about winning a race, he just seems to sort of almost just do enough. But the more and more he keeps doing it, and he keeps doing it against good horses, it just makes me wonder how much more's left under the bonnet. I don't think we've even seen the best of Envoy Land yet. And I'm hoping that when he does step up in trip, he's just going to be even more impressive. Now, the interesting thing for this weekend's racing is Longhouse Poet and Elixir Dene are probably going to go up against him. Those two faced off against each other at the beginning of the season. Longhouse Poet looked like he was desperately in need of that run, so those two are quite closely matched. They're 25-1 the pair for this particular race. Now, obviously, if Envoy Land steps up in trip and was to be beaten, and then there was a change of plans, all those sort of things, you'd like to think it would be one of them two that would do it. So this could be a chance to maybe think outside the box. The only thing with it is the two British horses that I mentioned there, Time Hill and the Big Breakaway. If Envoy Land doesn't win this race, then one of those two does. And I think the Big Breakaway would be the one to side with. And given the fact that he's still available at 14-1, and we know how good the Big Breakaway is, I just wouldn't be tempted enough to take on sort of Elixir Dene or Longhouse Poet at 25-1. I don't think they're sort of juicy enough prices, but I definitely get what you're saying, Darren, about the fact we've got to see him do all those bits and pieces, but he's going to be so much better when he steps up. Just wait for Sunday. It's going to be glorious. It'd be like watching your first child be born.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. But I'm just saying, if we was to go into the race as we've got it now,
absolutely,
I'd be looking. It's exactly the type of favourite I'd be looking to take on in every race that I assess and look through and try and find winners in. This is exactly the type of favourite that I'd be looking to take on. Really strong form over 2 miles. Absolutely nothing over 2 miles 5. Short enough price based on what he's done at 2 miles. Got to look for something to take him on because you just don't know until they do it. You don't know.
Absolutely. So, and he was one of those at the beginning of the season. I like to build up a nice anti-post portfolio, miles out, bit of money over the summer that I'm not going to miss. I had to really force myself to back Envoy Land. It was I missed him at 14s. He was 10s before the season started, and I'm looking at this thinking, we've seen what happens with bumper winners after it doesn't necessarily come out. I know they're saying he's amazing, all those bits and pieces, and I was looking at the beginning of the season thinking, I think 10 to 1's a terrible price that far out. Obviously now it looks a bit better, but I agree with what you're saying. Until he steps up and does it, we don't even know if he's definitely going to come here. I mean, I think he will, and I think he'll be better over 2.5. But you're spot on. These are the sorts of races where you want to be looking to take him on. It doesn't have to be big money. It doesn't have to be your best bet of the week, does it? But there are horses that can be vulnerable, and we've seen it time and time again, haven't we? Big, like fancied horses will go to the festival. It is a test ground, Cheltenham. It is. I know obviously he's won the bumper there, but I wouldn't want to be backing him at the price that he is now, to be honest. I'm happy I've got him on my team sheet at bigger prices, but there's better horses at 2 to 1 to back, surely. Benny Deju or Paisley. Right. So I think it's much of a muchness away from Envoy Land. Is there anyone, Daryl, that you'd be really tempted with against Envoy if Envoy did flop this weekend?
Not at the moment. I would have to wait and see. I've been quite impressed with Easy Work. I've been quite impressed with you. Time Hill, I'm just, like we said previously, I just feel Time Hill is a good horse. I don't think he's a great horse.
Yep, agreed.
And I think he's very beatable. I wouldn't feel confident enough backing him going into a Ballymore, to be honest with you. I do think there is still something that could come to light in the next couple of weeks. This is going to be a race where I'm literally going to wait probably until the day. But I would not be backing Envoy Allen now, certainly. I'd wait until after the weekend and see what he does there. But yeah, nothing yet, but there will be something. There will be.
Definitely. And the Tolworth, which we mentioned on the previous episode, that's running this Saturday. There's lots of form lines there for the Tolworth winners. They can either go Supreme, they can either go Ballymore. Potentially something could come out of there. The 3 that are in there, Hang In There, Fiddler on the Roof, and Son of Camas, all 3 of them look like they potentially could step up in trip as well. So we might see something else over the weekend, mightn't we?
Yeah, exactly. I think Fiddler on the Roof is going to be better with more cut in the ground. I think he's better on soft or heavy going, to be honest with you. I think Hang In There has got tons of ability. Whether he's good enough to win at Ballymore, I'm not entirely sure. I think he might win at the weekend, though.
Yeah, nice. That's the second time you dropped that in. We'll have to make sure we mention him on the Thursday episode of the Friday episode. So we'll move on to the RSA. We did talk about, I talked about a couple of horses that were sort of national hunt bound that I'd quite like to see running here. Darren, I know that you've got a big opinion on this, but just like the Champion Hurdle, you're going to have to sit and wait to hear what we say about them before you get to go in. So
do it.
It's a race that, again, it's like the Arkle. At the beginning of the season, you see all these novices. You just get so excited about certain races at the festival. The Arkle always gets me excited. The RSA always gets me really excited. I haven't really been let down in the RSA this year, but it was just looking at the Cheltenham Star Novices Chase this season, the depth of the field. I just wasn't really sold that it was it's sort of a great division, especially for the British horses. Champ was the exception to that, and I wouldn't be put off with what happened to him at Cheltenham in the Dipper. I won't say what I'm actually thinking because I know that Darryl was thinking the same, so I'll let him get on with that. But yeah, he's just plenty short, and he's been plenty short enough throughout the whole season, I think. Battle Over Doyle has been so good this season, just keeps winning. I couldn't believe the price that he was available at after his debut win, even after the second time he won. He's still a fair price now, I think. I haven't got him on my team sheet. I just don't think he likes Cheltenham. I think he's going to flop there. Manila Indo, we'll have to see what he does after. I did put him up as a sort, well, not on the page as a lively outsider, but I mentioned that he was too big a price at 50s for an Albert Bartlett. He just has always looked too short this season. I know he backed it up at Punchestown, but he doesn't particularly excite me. Slate House was good in the Cheltenham Novices chase. I think he's bound to be there or thereabouts. I think his form coming into this is looking pretty strong, although, as I mentioned before, it was a pretty weak renewal. The one that I'm disappointed hasn't come out this season, and he won't be making an attempt over fence this year, is Bright Forecast for Ben Pauly, and I thought he looked one of those that could be mapped out for this sort of race. Next Destination with Willie Mullins is another one that I expected would have been decent in here, and Carefully Selected that I mentioned with the National Hunt Chase. Now, I still hope he comes for the RSA. 25-1 available for him could still be too big, but we need to see him run again. And I know the connections of that horse are massive, massive Punchestown fans. So last year they didn't even send him over to the festival. We needed an extra run, but I don't think they'll miss the opportunity to run him at Cheltenham twice. Master Tommy Tucker was obviously good, but we know he's prone to a fall. He'd be disappointed if he was good enough to actually win an RSA. So it looks like it is quite open. I do still think that Champ is probably the one to beat, given what I've seen so far this season. There's a few interesting at a few bigger prices, and there's not too many real major races between now and the festival for us to pick any more out of it. So I've played on a couple of horses anti-post. At this point, I'm not too bullish about any of the ones I've played at bigger prices. But Jamie, what do you think of it, mate?
I suppose you can't really, like, after yesterday and looking at what Barry Garrity did, like, I thought Champ's most impressive performance was an injury and Mark Walters on him. Now, I'd have total confidence if Mark Walters on him, but sorry for all the Barry Garrity fans out there. But no, I can't see past it, but I wouldn't be backing him now. I'll wait till the day. I can't have Battler over Diane. I don't know. Like, he ran all the way to the line the last day. It's hard to see, like, you know. But if I was it Slade House's 14th one? I thought that was a poor renewal of the Quarter Star Novices Hurdle.
Yeah.
You look down the field. One that interests me with the form line with Manila Indo is Alaho. Now, I was disappointed in him last day with easy game beating him, but after that, there didn't much of a muchness. I just waiting for Manila Indo really to come back out, and he'll probably run in the Dublin Racing Festival. After that, it's poor. Like, half the horses that are put. Now, the most interesting one is where is Faheen obviously going. Yeah. I think he'll rock up in the JLP. I don't think. Like last year, if you look at him, he was cruising into the straight with Sam Spinner and Jared Hurdle, and then he kind of emptied. I think he's a JLT horse. I don't think he stays 3 miles. I might be totally wrong. But the two I'd have against Champ at the moment, because of their form line in the Clonmel Grade 3 Novice Hurdle last year, would be Manila Indo and Alaho will be the two against Champ at the moment. After that, I'd have no interest in it.
Yeah, that's fair. So, Darryl, it's one of the horses that you were very, very keen on last season. To be honest with you, I was behind you, not quite as big a fan. Disappointed with how he ran in the Ballymore personally, but given the concerns I had at the start of the season about maybe his jumping wouldn't have held up, I think a lot of people thought the same. I actually thought at Newbury, the first time he ran, he was class over his fence. I thought he was quite clever. I thought the second time he ran at Newbury, especially that turn of foot at the end, he looked even better. I thought he was going to be an absolute machine. I still think his Dipper performance, bar the second last, he would have won. If the jockey had a chance to ride it again, he might have done a few things differently. How are you feeling about him?
I think he's an absolute machine. If he gets round, he wins this.
Yeah.
I can't really see anything else that's going to be good enough to beat him. Battle Over Doyen, I think, he's going to have an issue with travelling over to Cheltenham, and I don't think he's that great anyway. Manila Indo would be a massive danger if you go back and watch the run Cheltenham last year. He just tanked through the race. I think he could be a pretty useful horse. Obviously, like you say, the interest with Faheen, where he goes, and then I've cut it at Slate House. I think Slate House could have a chance considering his form at Cheltenham, the way he enjoys the track. I thought he won that race last time, beating Blackop and the Quarter Star quite snugly. I think he had a bit more in hand. I would have liked to have seen him clear away, but again, Robbie Powell just steadied him into the last, gave Blackop another chance, but he had enough left in the tank. I'm still not convinced that Slate House can make that massive step forward. Don't know why. It could be my downfall in this race, but I I'm just not convinced he can make that step forward. Now, I totally agree with you, Jamie. If Mark Walsh gets on champ, I'm going to be laying out the mortgage on him.
Yeah.
Because he is that good of a horse, right? And Barry Geraghty is that bad of a jockey. No, I shouldn't jockey bash too much. I shouldn't. But I was absolutely livid yesterday because if you go through the race, right? I went through the race, fence by fence, and every time Barry Geraghty just found a stride, got into a rhythm, and just gave him a nudge down the neck, let him know that he wanted to jump, he was beautiful. He was spot on over his fences. You could not knock him. It was all the time that Barry Geraghty was either asking him to quicken up and he was getting too close to the fence, or Barry Geraghty was looking behind him and worrying about what was going on behind him. Every mistake that he made was never when Barry was asking for a jump. It was never that. It was always when he was not finding a stride or just allowing him to run down the fence. And I knew 2 seconds before I said to the mister, I said, he's going to let him run down this, because when Barry gets in front, he does it all the time. He lets the horse run down a fence. No matter what horse is on, he always does it. And that is when mistakes happen. Why he's not asking him to pop that last fence, giving him a nudge, teach him, clear away by 5 or 6 lengths. Why not? You know, I'm not going handicapping, are you? So why he's not teaching him there to finish out his races? I mean, that was over 2 mile 4. He's going to be running over 3 miles. Keep him up to his work the whole way. I don't understand it. I really don't. Barry's not too bad if he's in a fighting finish for me. Yeah. If he's in a fighting finish head to head with another horse and he's going for it, it's when he's isolated on his own, no dangers, he's trouble for me. So if Mark Walsh got on, I'd be so happy. All this anger for the last day would go. But that's never going to happen. I think Barry's going to be riding him, which is the biggest worry for me, because he's either a really stupid horse or he's a really clever horse, because he does everything Barry asks him to do. If you just give him a nudge down, let him know that a fence is coming, I want to jump, he does it. If you don't tell him to do anything, he won't do nothing. He won't even jump the fence. Like, it's just worrying for me. It's the first time, and I've been a massive fan for Champ for a long time, as you can tell, so I keep going on. But like, it's the first time I've actually started to worry about him for this race. First time. And he can't afford to make those mistakes, like the fall on the last day, because it's going to be on the old course. It's a sharper track. It's just not going to get away with too many of them. That's the issue.
That's the problem there, is the sharper track in the 3 miles is going to worry me there. But if you look at it, he's won around entry, so that's not really worrying me either. A lot of people are saying that, the sharper 3 miles at the RSA, if it was on the new track, the RSA, he'd have more of a chance. But I don't buy into that. I think he's plenty of pace for the 3 mile old track.
Yeah, I agree. It's just in terms of the mistakes. He's not going to get away with those mistakes on that old track, whereas he might get away with a couple on the new course. Do you know what I mean? There's time to gather your momentum. But for me, this is the race for him. 3 miles will be no issue. I'm just wondering if they stepping up to 3 miles, the slightly slower pace, will that maybe help his jumping, or will that mean Barry Geraghty relaxes too much for the whole race? And then, do you get what I mean? I'm frustrated because I nearly had a hell of a bet on him before that day. I didn't, but I nearly did, and it's just worried me slightly. I think he should be bigger than 3-1 now.
Yeah. The good thing I think about it is, Daryl, that he made the mistake in the Dipper. He didn't make the mistake in the RSA. You are absolutely spot on. It isn't jockey bashing, because they're entitled to make mistakes, but Barry Geraghty blaming on the horse after the race is what doesn't stand him in good stead. He should have just admitted that he got it wrong. He looked round his shoulder when he saw how far clear he was. When he had that first look, he should have thought, you know what, let's just kick on, let's just go and get it done. Yeah. Or he should have pulled him back and said, actually, I want some company. He knew what he was doing to go on. You either go on with it or you don't. When he had that second little look under his arms, you could see it. Even if you watch the race back, I saw it before he jumped into the flight. Said it to the guy that I was next to. It'll be interesting to see what he does over these next 2, given the fact he's done it. But he slowed him down a bit in front, sent him on a little bit, slowed him down again. The horse didn't know whether he was coming or going into the flight. And like you say, I think that he's either really smart or really stupid. He needs to be told what to do at events. He can't find it out himself.
What worries me with that comment from Barry when he said he's looking at the stands is if they go and put any cheek pieces on him, because that will be a worry. because he's a head case as it is, and you don't want to light him up with cheek pieces. That would be the worry.
Yeah.
My biggest frustration, I suppose, is not so much with Barry. Look, it's happened, he's made a mistake, whatever. But my frustration is I thought he was going to be put away after that and go to the festival fresh. All of a sudden, the preparation is now up in the air, and that's what concerns me more. A bad prep. He goes somewhere else. He needs a confidence builder from that fall. Where's he going to go? They've got to find a race for him now. All of a sudden, you're in a bit of a rush with him. That's more of the concern.
I personally think they'll just Newbury for that Super Saturday. They'll take him for a race course Garden would be my thought on it. I don't think they'll stick him out again. Obviously, going to Cheltenham off the back of a fall is not what people want, which is why they may look for another race. But I don't know. I think they need to just save him now for Cheltenham, and if the damage is done, the damage is done. I think an RSA will suit him. He just looked like he wanted some company. Barry didn't really want to have to go on with the race, but he did quite early, given the fact that it wasn't fast enough. One of those sort of races where you think maybe Nicky Henderson should have put something else in the race so that he had a runner in there that could have given Champ a lead. But I think when he goes to the RSA, there's always a frenetic pace there. There's often a few of them there towards the last couple of flights. So I think he'll get a toe in. I don't think he'll have to worry so much about it. It wouldn't completely put me off. It's just frustrating more than anything, because it would have been nice to see Barry Gerrity let him go and then just go and stretch. I would expect he would have gone 10, 15 lengths clear. The fact that he was on an hour and going into that flight, it makes you wonder whether he did have as much force as it maybe looked like, all those sort of things. It puts questions in your mind that probably don't need to be put in there, I think.
Yeah, it's just the thing that frustrates me the most is that, honestly, when you watch back every single fence, every time he's found a stride and just asked him, he's come up lovely. Every other time that Barry's asked him to quicken too quickly before a fence or do something, he's ran down it. I just don't understand why a jockey's not looking for a stride at every fence.
I suppose the thing with him is we've seen it even when he was running at Newbury in that handicap, and Aidan Coleman literally was just holding on for dear life, wasn't he? Yeah. It is obviously easier for us to sit here when we're not on the back of the horse, all those bits and pieces. And Barry should be professional enough and all those sort of things to deal with it. But I suppose when you go in those sort of speeds, he's not intentionally sort of slowed him into that fence to make him fall. But
no, of course, no. I'm not suggesting that at all.
No, but the good thing is it's happened now, rather than that happening in an RSA and then they learn from it too late. So I don't see it as a complete and utter negative. One horse that we definitely need to mention, so we don't get completely away from Champ anyway, because he's got a form line with him. I think Black Hop deserves a mention, because when you mentioned Darryl in the Feltham where Slate House didn't really pull away, I thought exactly the same. Pop the last, he's going to go 3 or 4 lengths clear. The fact he didn't pull away slightly reminded me of Le Bagoir and top of the game last year, where actually, if you look at it, the horse that's finished second, for a Cheltenham perspective, probably has come out of the race a bit better. Now, he just didn't look anywhere near in Champ's class at Newbury, but that was over the middle trip. Maybe the step up in trip would help him with that. He's still available at 20-1 with William Hill, so you can boost that to 22-1, and he's as short as 10-1 with Bet365. So I just feel like Black Hop, that Feltham performance, looked like a decent enough run for me. I thought he ran okay behind Champ at Newbury. I wouldn't expect him to be good enough to beat Champ over 3 miles. I just think 20-1 is the wrong price about him. You hate that, don't you, Darryl?
I think he's just got too much to find. I think Slate House had him more than covered. And I think he was probably flattered by the winning distance, if anything, just because of that mistake. Slate House pings the last. He's clearing away by 5 or 6. I just think, and then he's 33-1. I just don't think he's good. I don't think he's good enough. I think if you're looking even in terms of each way money, I think Slate House has him covered, Champ has him covered, Manila Indo will probably have him covered. Battle Over Doyen you can't see out of the 3. I mean, you're talking 5 or 6, and then if carefully selected or someone does come in here, I mean, I can see him clattering a few and being pulled up. To be honest, I can.
Yeah, maybe. He didn't jump very well when he ran around Cheltenham before. The one thing with Black Hop is when he ran so well in the Ballymore, that was slower ground. He's better on, or the Feltham race was on slower ground. If the festival did come up a bit softer, I probably would give Black Hop a bit of a chance. We've done the RSA to death now, so we'll move on. You got anything else to add, Jamie, or are we happy to go on?
I go on, yeah. If you want to, I'll give you a quick 1 or 2 I like in the Coral Cup if you want.
Yeah, go for the Coral Cup, mate.
There's a horse I fancy in this big time. Now, it depends where he goes. He might go in the county. There was a horse that ran, was it yesterday? No, it was New Year's Eve behind Borough Saint. I think this Saglawi of Willie Mullins is definitely, in my head, a plot job. Like, this horse was nearly favoured for the English Service, then he went to the Irish one, he got pulled up, something was wrong, and Colin Keane put him up early enough. There's something about this horse, because he's back form with Salday, and he's back form Mr. Adjudicator, all the Triumph Hurdles of horses that year. I think if this horse runs in a handicap, my biggest problem with him is that he's 147. I hope he gets dropped a few pounds from the last day, but he was 147 in Ireland. He's going to get 150 in England, so I can't see him winning him off 150 unless they put a £7 claim on him or something like that. He's one I really like for a handicap. Now, the favourite at the moment, 25 to 1, Fill Me Up Buttercup. I can't have her because the horse just can't jump. If the horse could jump, it'd be an absolute good thing. But no, everything. There's one or two. There's a horse that actually got beaten at Limerick at 1 to 4. I think, was it? The Willie Mullins horse that was third in the Fred Winter last year, Ciel de Neige. I think he needs a good gallop. That's why he was beaten the last day. Like, Limerick can get a bit of a bog up there when the rain comes. But he's another one I'm interested in at the moment. They'll be the two I'm really interested in for handicaps is Saglawi and Ciel de Neige. Wherever they run, I'd probably have a bet.
Beautiful. Thanks for that, mate. So we're going to chuck onto the feature race of day 2, the Champion Chase. Now, we've had the 8 or maybe 9 declaration or entries for the Clarence House Chase at Ascot. Defi de Soy, Altior's in there, Inverso, waiting patiently, been nibbled after running so well in the Tingle Creek. Looks like he's definitely going to go there. Obviously, we'll look at this race as itself at Cheltenham, and then we can cover some of the stuff over there. For me, I still just think Altior wins the Champion Chase, and I'm quite happy to leave it there. So, Daryl, Jamie wants to go up next.
I suppose the worst year I thought that won the Cheltenham Chase there a couple of years ago was Dodging Bullets, right? But is it a case I always think now in my head, go to this year's horse in the Champion Chase? Like, Dodging Bullets beat Sprinter Sacre, and I know Sprinter Sacre that year was coming back and blah blah blah, and he came back, he won the year after. I think you should stick with this year's horse, and this year's horse for me is Defi de Soy. I'm a massive fan. Backed him with Triumph, backed him to win the JLT. He'd be the one I'd have at the moment. I can't see a horse like, look, Altior is the best horse by a country mile. On his day, he is the best, no question, right? But it's the case of this year is not going to be easier because they messed around with his trip this year. They didn't run him in the Desert Orchid. Didn't do he's going to run down the Clarence House against Defi de Soy. He could beat him, he could hammer him, you never know. But I think you should stick with this year's horse. The only other horse that interests me, I can't have Chacun Pour Soi now. Maybe I might be wrong. He might have needed to run the last day. He could be better for better ground as well, because it was soft that day at Leopardstown, and it was good ground when he beat Defi de Soy. The only other horse that interests me is the horse that beat Chacun Pour Soi is a Plutarch, but I can't see a Plutarch going here. I think he'll go Ryanair. Min, Ryanair. I think Duvan will turn up here. Great horse. Pity he got injured. I think he'll turn up. He'll turn up and he just run on the day and see what happens. The rest of them on the go, waiting patiently, no chance. Footpad, no chance. Now, another horse that could come back is the horse that I think would have won the Arca last year is Laricheberg. But you have to see him first before we ever think about backing him for a Champion Chase. But at the moment, if I was putting up a bet, it'd have to be this year's horse Defi de Soy for me.
Yeah, fair enough, Daryl.
I hope Altior doesn't run in this because I think I'd have to take him on with the prep, and I love him. I think I'd have to take him on. Like I say, the preparation's been terrible this year. Is he going to run in the Clarence House? Is he not? I suppose if he wins the Clarence House, then he's going to shorten right up for this, isn't he? I think Chacun Pour Soi, although the air of invincibility is gone about this horse, I think he might be worth another shout. He did just look like he blew up the last day. He may well come on for that again. I think 5 to 1 for him. If you can take that form literally with Defi de Soy at the end of last season, that's the key to it. But then you are working on one piece of form, and I never like to work on one piece of form. What are you laughing at?
I just think that the Defi de Soy form from last season beat that and Duke Geneva. He was there fresh when they done a season out of it.
Yeah.
I think it's far from literal form. He's a terrible price at 5 to 1. He could be the capable of doing it. We all saw how good he was that day and the time before. Obviously, it's disappointing to see him get beat, but he's not been to Cheltenham, has he? He's only had two. I think my son's had races, but he's had in the last couple of years. It's just his profile and everything. He's just another one of the wise guy's horse, isn't he? But he's a terrible price.
And you should never work off one piece of form. It never works out. You should never work one piece of form. But I did like his performance behind the Plutarch. I did like that. It'll be interesting to see if he comes on from that. He's not a bet for me. I agree with Jamie. I think definitely De Saul back at Cheltenham. I think he might get beat in the Clarence House. I don't think there'll be too much between them if they run. But back at Cheltenham, I would favour Deffy, because if Altior decides to hit that flat spot again after the last and then stay on again up the hill, I think Deffy might be away and gone, which is my concern for Altior. And obviously, I'm a massive fan at Heart Over Head, but I think this field's going to really cut up. Duvan would be the one that interests me the most if he turns up here. It really would interest me. I loved his comeback run. It's a shame we haven't seen him see it. Things had a slight setback, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But
I think there the year I had many arguments with friends of mine afterwards, a few scoops deep, and you're saying, I seriously think he was gone in that champion chase. I know it's top of the hill, lot to go. Altior was off the bridle, and he always finishes with a bang at the time. But I think he was gone. I really do. I thought, Patrick Mullen, what are you doing? And he just plowed through the fence at the top of the hill. I think he was gone. Now, I might be totally wrong, but I think if he runs, he's going to put a lot of them in trouble, because he'll just go out in front and catch him if you can.
Exactly. They've got nothing to lose with him now.
They've nothing to lose. And he's so much ability, that horse. I think he's one of the best horses I've ever seen. But he's never got to the full potential that he was supposed to be.
That's it.
There's something about him. He's still, he's one of the best.
It is one of those boys. The only championship race that Willie Mullins hasn't had the winner. Obviously, he got the Gold Cup off his book last year. So Silas Emery blatantly going to come here. Chacun Passoir will definitely come here. He'll want to stick something else in there as well. So it will either be Min or Duvan. They've tried it with Min so many times. He needs to go Ryanair. I do think that both Min and Duvan would be better suited to the Ryanair. But like you say, Duvan can go pop off in front. If anything, it could help the other two Willie Mullins runners at worst if he's not up there. The one thing I will say about this race, when we mentioned the Clarence House chases, Underso, I'm sure he'll definitely come over for that. He'll take on Deffy De Soy again. Obviously, there's no shame in getting beaten by Underso, but that'll be so interesting given how close the pair finished together at the Tingle Creek. I reckon with Altior, they might wait for the Game Spirit chase at Newbury. It will be a slightly easier reintroduction. Given his awkward prep and all that sort of stuff, and I just think that's where they might go with him.
That would be ideal.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season as well, I did touch on a horse, Dynamite Dollars of Paul Nicholls. Now, obviously, it's ridiculous to talk about him as a champion chase type horse, but he was 50-1 at that time. He's a little bit shorter now. The plan is still with him. He was at the beginning of the season. He had a little bit of a setback. He was only ever going to run in the Game Spirit and then go straight onto the champion chase. Now, it's probably not going to happen, but if they have messed about with Altior and he's not going to win a champion chase, then God knows. Imagine he got beat in the Game Spirit in Newbury because it's all been messed up, and he got beat by something like Dynamite Dollars, who's currently 40-1 for the race. He's one that obviously at a wild price. I've already backed him at 50, so I'm quite happy with that. I do like Deffy. I don't know.
Have you heard anything about Master Dino?
He got sold, didn't he?
Yeah, he's actually priced up. He's priced up here 25-1. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the Gold Cup market as well. I tell you what, if he returned and they found a prep run for him, he'd be a player in this.
Well, he sold to someone though.
Yeah,
he sold.
He injured his leg. It was a break, so they had to, it was a chip bone or something. He had to have a serious operation, and then since then he went to the sales and he was sold. That would be alarm bells for me if they've got rid of him. But yeah, he looked like last season. He looked like a serious horse, didn't he? He would have been going to the JLT. That would have shown us how good the likes of Deffy and Lost in Translation were. Larichberg that you mentioned as well, Jamie, he did have an entry not so long ago. Joseph O'Brien said at the beginning of the season he won't be seen until this side of or this side of the festival in 2020. So hopefully he's going to run at some point. I definitely think
he'd probably run in that Boyle Sports Chase. I don't know if they've got rid of it before. He used to be about the Tide Cottage or something at Sound. He'd probably run there. I think I don't know if they've got rid of that though because of the Dublin Racing Festival. He used to have 2 months race there. They always used to run in the Irish horses before Cheltenham. So
he did look very ground dependent last season as well, didn't he? And
he does, yeah. He needs to go ground. I think he needs to go ground. He ran in a novice hurdle in Killarney one day, so he needs during the summer. So he's a good ground horse.
But it's definitely a fascinating race. I think it's one again that you could probably look at even playing on the day, given the prices that everything are. I do still think that Altior will win this. I think the only horse that was going to beat him when he ran on his debut over that trip was Surname, who did it. Obviously, it's disappointing how he finished in the King George, but I would imagine that most of us didn't fancy Surname for the King George anyway. The step up in trip, all those sorts of things. It was away from Ascot. Just if Altior had have gone up against anything else, it might have possibly tarnished where he was going to go for the season. They might have, if it had beaten something, however convincingly it was, they might have said, actually, it's not that hard a race. We'll go to the King George. That could have ruined him. I think it's worked out in his favour that he got beat by Surname.
Yeah, I don't think he's discredited himself either. I think stepping up in trip on heavy ground first time out against Surname at Ascot in his optimum conditions, being beaten what, 2 3/4 levels, was it? But I don't think that is discredited him whatsoever. It's just the one. What worried me is when we spoke at Chepstow at the beginning of the season, if they did do it and then they revert back, it's the preparation around the whole season that goes to plan. Whereas other horses like Deffy, who was having a really solid preparation for this, you tend to side more with that sort of horse, don't you? That might do us a favour on the day. Altior might get 3-1, 4-1 on Altior. Imagine that, but. There is going to be a time in his career when it comes where he's simply not going to be as good as he was. And that's just the nature of the game. You can't stay at this game for the top for so long. It just would worry me that now they've messed up with his preparation. Is that going to be the downfall of his champion chase? You know what I mean? If you're getting 3-1 about him, you take a chance, don't you? But if he's shorter than that, you've got to start asking yourself questions. Exactly.
Yeah, and the thing that all that's going to potentially come out of the next few weeks is if Deffy de Soil does go and beat Indeso at Ascot in the Clarence House Chase, Deffy's only going to get shorter, which means Altior could be pushed out. Altior he'll be probably 5s on to win in the Game Spirit. There won't be any British Challenge of any note in there other than maybe Dynamite Dollars. If he does go and walk that, his price isn't necessarily going to shorten up. He's just doing what he should be doing. I think you'll still get a bit of a price about him, but. Yeah, it's a very interesting race. It's one of those that at this point, if it was run 5 times, I could probably see a few different winners going in there, and it wouldn't surprise me. So it's one that we'll probably still be talking about it in the same light when it comes to the week before the festival. We still won't be probably any more convinced about anything, although we have obviously got the clues of the Clarence House, the Game Spirit, and at the Dublin Racing Festival. So we'll scoot on from the Champion Chase. The only race really that is worth talking about a little bit is the Champion Bumper After. Now we can obviously go through the cross country. It's a lot just hinges on the fact that Tiger Roll, whether he turns up or not. If he does, he absolutely walks it.
He won't walk it. I won for it, Darren. Actually, if he doesn't turn up,
Easy's land.
Easy's land, yeah, but. I see things priced up here. I couldn't have Yanmart. Yanmart's just a pig of a horse. I tried to convince a couple of good friends of mine. I told them that year that another bad joke, York Hill was going to beat him in the Ballymore, and they couldn't fathom it. And I told them that York Hill had been. I was delighted with that. But there's one I see priced up is Rack Finden, and I love this horse. I backed him for the 4-miler. I backed him last year in the Grand National because I think Tiger Roll will win it 2 years in a row. I think if he ran, he'd be a decent price each way. But after that, like Tiger Roll, good luck. Another stroll around the cross country, good luck. Fred Winter does not really. You can't really see Fred Winter at the moment, wasting your time. There's one in it, right? There's one that interests me at the moment in the Fred Winters. The one that ran against Aspire Tower is a horse called Wolf Prince. I think he's being laid out for the Fred Winter. I might be wrong. But
that's one of those as well that will definitely get more clues for that much closer to the festival. A lot of the juveniles probably go in there with one run. There'll be some French thing that will be purchased in the next couple of weeks as a Christmas present that will go in off the semi-rating. So that's definitely one to leave nearer the time. The champion bumpers looks quite interesting. It's another one that tends to take more shape when it gets closer to the festival. The two that I was interested in before they made their appearances was wide receiver and Fernie Hollow. Now, I still do like Fernie Hollow, but obviously it's worrying that twice it's got there and not done a lot. Whether they're going to not run him at Cheltenham because he's going to be better when he goes over obstacles, I'm not sure. But I think the best thing they can do is stick him in at Cheltenham, let him get that rough and ready experience, because he needs to be told that you're there to be racing. You need to sort of man up a little bit. Eric Bloodaxe has looked really good. Obviously, he's won back-to-back now. Israel Champ was really, really good at Cheltenham as well, so that's nice form that's around there. There is a Gigginstown comment that came out over the weekend that they had all those winners, however many grade ones it was, and then they said, all of that happened, it was great, but we got our best bumper horse beat. Now, I think people were reading into that it might have been wide receiver, but there's a horse, Hamundsen, I don't know how you say it, that was quite well fancied for his race. He ran okay, but he was slightly disappointing. I'm just wondering whether that is the one that they really, really, really like, and he is 50-1 for the bumper at the moment. But obviously, the normal line going in is you'd want to be winning your last bumper before you go to the festival. So it'd be interesting to see if Hamundsen comes out again and does any better than he did the last day, I think. Anything from you guys, Daryl?
Just worth mentioning here that I think I'm right in saying that Urtrid is priced up in here, but he doesn't qualify to run in this bumper. So don't back him. He is priced up everywhere around. It's only one firm on odds checker now, but he was priced up with a lot of firms, but he doesn't qualify to run, so he's run over hurdles. I really like the performance of Israel Champ. Normally this goes to Ireland though. I'm not entirely sure why wide receiver is 25-1 and Eric Bloodaxe is 12-1. I didn't think there was that much between them. I know everyone went on about the winner, but I didn't think wide receiver had the best run through there. I thought Eric Bloodaxe got first run on him. I thought he stayed on quite nicely. Eric Bloodaxe is obviously a big, imposing type. He's definitely going to improve for an obstacle later on down the line. Just wondering if he might just be a bit one-paced in terms of he's got a high cruising speed, but might just get it done for a bit of toe. I thought wide receiver quickened up quite nicely, just couldn't get to him in time. I think the stiff finish at Cheltenham probably suit him, to be honest. But apart from that, this is the type of race where I'd sort of like to wait until the day and sort of just assess it in its own right on the day and just go back through the form, flick back through the videos and just watch it there. Because so many things come out of the woodwork, don't they? It's very tough.
And a lot of the horses for their bumper runs, you want to be winning your last start before Cheltenham, but lots of them are there. They need the run. The thing that, like you're saying about this Eric Bloodaxe, he's actually 14-1. You can get top price about him. The two horses that I said I liked a while out was Fernie Hollow, wide receiver. Now, I still haven't completely ruled both of them out, but this horse has beaten both of them. And I said before, and I'll say it again, horses that beat horses, didn't they? So he's a big
I know you say that, but you can't always take it for face value, can you?
Absolutely, but 14-1 about him is still very tempting. And Israel Champ winning under that penalty at Ascot was
really impressive. And he just keeps galloping.
Yeah, he does. And they're sort of the things that 14-1 this far out. I mean, you don't want to be backing too many because the bumper's probably the single worst race for betting in because you've got so much unknown in it, all those sort of things. But this far out, Israel Champ, Eric Bloodaxe, both at 14-1 could be worth something in a Hermie bet. I'm not sure. Jamie, what do you think of it, mate?
I'm going to wait, I'd say, till the grade 2 bumpers at Leopardstown before deciding who I'll back in it. There's a grade 2 that NYLM won last year. I'll wait till that and see. I like the bumper. I've had plenty of winners of it, but at the moment, nothing seems to interest me. The one I was given the start here was Fernie Hollow. We talked about another Willie Mullins horse there that ran there, Turles there a couple of weeks back. Asterian Burlong, is it?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, he's another one that interests me if he ran. in the Grade 2 bumper at Leopardstown. After that, and I was given Fernie Hollow at the start of the year because he was purchased by the Cheveley Park. But after that, not an interest to me at the moment. 1 year for a long time that I hadn't had a bumper horse already. Like last year, I was on Malone Road. Obviously, that went Q with. Then all of a sudden, Envoy Allen came into the picture. But no, not at the moment. No. And I've had great days. I've had a lot of great days champion bumper, but not an interest to me at the moment. No.
Yeah, fair enough. On a side note with Asterion Forlons that you mentioned, I was looking at the entries coming up over the next few days. He's actually entered in a 3-mile hurdle on Saturday at Cork.
Oh.
So Albert Bartlett, but yeah, he was one of them. I thought he ran, considering he did it sort of workmanlike at the price that he was. The fact that they're now looking to step him up to 3 mile, maybe that was the answer for him. Maybe he needs to go up, but I think he's quite a nice horse. So that's another one I think as well that you probably want to leave nearer to the festival time. So that would be a wrap for day 2.